But now we get to have a quick look at what the papers have for us today. The hashtag still remains to be Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. I start you off with the Daily Nation. Not so many stories have been featured here, with the main read being about the polls and the question of where the numbers are. They've gone ahead to give a very beautiful breakdown of the numbers that have already been identified by the IEBC. But of course, these numbers will have to go through another refining process before they gazette the actual number of voters that have been registered, the new voters, and also consequently giving now the actual figures in the different region. And just briefly looking at the numbers that have been captured here, now the total number of listed voters currently stands at 22,162,362. This is inclusive of the 2.5 million votes that were registered between the periods of towards the end of last year up until this recently concluded exercise, with Rift Valley having registered 694,000 new voters. We also have Western having recorded 329,000 new voters, and these are rounded off figures just for the in the interest of time. We have Northeastern having recorded 130 new votes, Central 244,000 new votes, Coast had 240,000 new votes, Nairobi 254,000 new votes, Eastern had 340,000 new votes, and of course Nyanza 333,000 new votes. Of course, we'll be giving you the details in just a bit, and they've gone ahead to compare these numbers to the previous numbers that were recorded in 2017, and looking at this 5-year gap, of course these numbers still being way below the target that was set out by the IEBC. Now, away from that, these other stories in regards to the story that was still in the Daily Nation yesterday in regards to the iffy relationship between the president and his deputy, with now the deputy saying, bring it on, daring Uhuru to stand and actually say that he did not contribute to the successes of the Jubilee administration. But critics are saying, you know, you are talking about the successes, but you are not associating yourself with the failures of the same administration as well. Aside from that, we now have that story concerning the fight against cancer in the country, with the new care center in Mombasa, which is set to ease the load at KU Hospital. That is the front page of the Daily Nation for you this morning. Victor.
And on the front page of the Star newspaper, Uhuru to make changes after mass exodus. Mostly Ruto allies quit on day one of resignations. More than a dozen top government officials resigned on Tuesday. Most of them are running for governor in their respective counties. Just to mention, we have got John Munyes of CS Petroleum. We have got Patrick Olentutu, who is CAS Labour, Ken Obura, CAS EAC, Gideon Mungaro, CAS Devolution. We have got Adan Mohammed, CS EAC, Charles Keter, CS Devolution, Wavinya Ndeti, CAS Transport, as well as John Mosonik, CAS Petroleum, amongst others. Of course, today is the last day, and we should expect more resignations later on. And husband killer gets 14 years in prison for strangulation. She pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Judge said that she had to tame her emotions. And Maureen Chebet was convicted after she admitted to a lesser charge of manslaughter. She was accused of killing Elias Kipchirchir Yego by strangulation of February 17th, 2018 in Kapsabet, Nandi County. But in a judgment delivered by Justice Ruben Nyakundi on February 3rd, the court said that this considered the accused admission of guilt and sentenced her to 15 years in prison. But the court noted that since the accused was already in custody from March 8, 2018, to date, the court could deduct 3 years and 10 months spent in pretrial custody. So 15 more years in custody. But one thing she said is control emotions. Kenyatta to make changes after mass exit. Of course, that is a story that is on most of the papers here. I have to skip that. Cutthroat clash as Uhuru Ruto exchange words on scorecard. DP says that President can't take credit for Jubilee successes. Many are his achievements. And of course, the DP said that just a day after Uhuru publicly accused him of doing no work for the government and politicking 24/7. And Ruto hit back, claiming that he made Uhuru president. Right, we should expect more to come. The president said that this is the season and they're ready. So Wiper gives Kalonzo freedom to engage ODM leader Raila Odinga. Party says that Kenya Kwanza is not an option as they go out to fish for partners. This now leaves Kalonzo, and of course, after the mass exit last month during an event at Bomas of Kenya, this now leaves Azimio la Umoja as the only remaining viable option for Kalonzo. Last month, the Wiper boss, alongside Oka principals Gideon Moi of KANU, Cyrus Jirongo of UDM, walked out from ANC's delegates meeting at Bomas of Kenya. After it was apparent that the DP was the chief guest. So there's that story that also Regina talked about, verification of voters at stake, as IBC says that they don't have 4.5 billion shillings to do that, and now they're asking Parliament to consider giving them that amount for the verification process. Very quickly into the sport, which something that we talked about here yesterday. Remember, we questioned a lesson that we can borrow from AFCON, more so Senegal. So now it's said that stakeholders want football fraternity to trust local coaches and AFCON lessons. So the story says that the football stakeholders actually have challenged appointing authorities to give local coaches a chance to handle local clubs and national teams to avoid the revolving door of foreign tactics. So they said that for 8 years, Sise was the national coach. They never fired him. They never hired any foreign coach, but they actually nurtured local talent. And today, they're the African champions. Something that you should learn from Senegal. Doreen.
All right, let's begin with some politics and the president and the DP going at it at each other anytime they get a chance. The deputy president now says, I equally deserve credit for Jubilee's success, and he also appears to aim Babs at head of state following the latest Monday jibe about his deputy's dismissal performance in their tenure. And part of what the DP also said is that he asked his boss to tone down, that is the president, to retire honorably or go down when his project fails, adding that Kenyans are tired of a clique of individuals who think they own the country. And on the other side, when it comes to what the president also says about the DP is that he has been, the president has accused, or better still, Ruto has been widely captured addressing rallies from rooftop of his car, during which he accused Uhuru again, obviously, and Raila of political conmanship and staked credit of Jubilee government programs in the energy, transport, and health sectors. And again, what the president now says to the DP is that he said that the DP had failed to heed his call to shelve early campaigns at the start of Jubilee administration's second term, and asked him to brace for real political battle and campaign period as the campaign period gathers momentum. And part of what, I mean, let me just say a good number of Kenyans are asking is that what really happened to the relationship between the president and the DP from that time when they would wear matching shirts, matching ties, to a point where they can actually talk at each other anytime they get the chance. What really happened between these two? And away from that, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi now drops resignation bombshell on ward reps ahead of polls, saying that also for them they need to resign if at all they plan to vie for any elective positions, just as what we saw yesterday. And this also comes at a time where we've seen especially members of the cabinet resigning yesterday as they are set to vie for these various elective positions, key among them being Charles Keter, the devolution CS, Munez, Petroleum, and and East African community counterpart Mohammed quit their lucrative jobs to join governor contest in their home counties, leading the way for dozens of senior public officers who also left to try their luck in politics. And this is why Justin Muturi is also telling ward reps, that is the MCAs, for those wanting to also again vie for those particular positions, they need to resign by closure of business today. And again, picking from that particular story whereby the president unveiled the new cancer center in Mombasa, that is the Coast General Hospital. Remember that also this comes after early this year he also unveiled a similar project that was at the Kenyatta University Teaching and Referral Hospital. That was again also a cancer center. And part of also just what came out is that cancer is the third leading cause of deaths in Kenya, and this is after infectious and cardiovascular diseases. Now this is also part of what is informing what the state is doing to try and ensure they make health services easily accessible, especially to cancer centers. And again, remember, this is why every month every month is actually a cancer awareness month, and February just alone is one of those months that is set aside to sensitize and ensure that there's proper cancer awareness. And again, also it was mentioned that it is very important for Kenyans to also try and ensure they get to these facilities, perhaps for also cancer screening and early detection, because this will aid in early treatment and perhaps end up saving lives. And again, we talked about the story of the Teacher Service Commission unveiling the virtual learning platform, and part of what came out is how practical or even sustainable is this going to be, knowing fully well that we still have schools in the country whereby access to internet is still a tussle. And this is why TSC is in talks to connect rural school with fast internet ahead of this virtual learning. This is just part of what came out as an idea to try and bridge the gap when it comes to getting proper education. And again, also what informed this new idea is due to the effects of COVID-19 at a time when students and children were at home. So this is also what informed the introduction of this virtual learning platform. And again, remember, even as they talked about this, they didn't put a specific time and date as to when this was set to begin, but that is why they are trying to ensure they look at those loopholes and try to tie them before this project begins. And also we talked about the issue of food security in the country, and it's just a continuing to build up on how it has affected different countries, not just Kenya. And this article just highlights how countries of Ethiopia, Somalia also form part of the 13 million people that have been affected when it comes to hunger in Africa. And also, again, this has been attributed to the lack of proper rains as it was expected, especially in the months of October, November, and December. And coming to Kenya alone, we have seen the state coming up with various measures, what we call the short, mid, and even long term, to try and see how best they could curb the issue of food insecurity as a whole. Part of what informed their short and mid term include the cash transfers, and long term is the water tracking system. So when we get to the details, I'll be telling you also how this entire issue when it comes to hunger crisis is not only just affecting Kenyans, but the entire, I mean, not the entire African, but some countries in the African continent, and how various stakeholders are just coming in to see how best they can be able to assist people in these countries. And lastly, Egerton suspends 14 dons as strike enters third month. We also looked at this particular story sometime last week, whereby this strike enters its third month from December, and most of the issues that good number of these lecturers were decrying included non-payment, lack of proper promotions, and as well as salary increment. So now the university has gone ahead to suspend this 14 lecturers, and again, one of them is just saying that why has it taken 3 months for them to realize that this strike was illegal? Because again, one of the reasons why they ended up suspending them is because they say that this strike was illegal. So that is what is happening in Eldoret Egerton University as it pertains to that lecturer strike. And in a nutshell, that is how the front page of the People's Daily looks like this morning. Ray.
Quick sneak peek into the Standard this morning. Tyranny of numbers, the question of, the vote-rich counties. The top 10 among them is Nairobi at 2.5 million, Kiambu 1.3, Nakuru 1.05, Kakamega 846,000, while Meru comes in at 786,000, Machakos at 692,000, Mombasa 662,000, Bungoma 646,000, Kisii 642,000, and Murang'a 631. Remember, the registration is still underway in the 290 constituencies at the Huduma centers, so these numbers will keep on refreshing. But now those are the top 10 vote-rich counties. And looking at the Mount Kenya question here, and it is a question that political pundits, analysts, and even those who are in the race, especially for the top seat, that's the presidency, is seemingly weighing on them, and that is the question that who inherits Uhuru's votes, so to speak. And that's the question about who will capture the elusive Mount Kenya votes, where, you know, a third of the voters live. So the region boasts of 5.85 million registered voters, and in 2013 and 2017, they gave Uhuru more than 90% of the votes. Now, the question is, with this seemingly fallout, actually it's not a seemingly fallout, but we have seen it's bare knuckle between President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy president there, William Ruto. So with that fallout, there's a lot of uncertainty over who will inherit the vote block. This comes at a time when Raila is still wooing this particular region. So the question of Mount Kenya is all about numbers. I have just listed the 10 vote-rich counties, where Nairobi happens to be one of them, actually top there at 2.5 million plus voters. So far, we have 21.7 million registered voters. The exercise will still continue at a time when IEBC is saying for verification to actually happen, government needs to allocate it an extra 4.5, lest the elections might not be as, you know, transparent, or rather the process will not be as seamless as anticipated. Talking about polls, the August 9 polls, now it is now clear that public officers have to vacate office. Today is the last day, and this was made clear by a court ruling yesterday, and you can get further details on our website. So there was a bit of uncertainty as to what the law says and, you know, its implementation now, following a court judgment and verdict actually that was delivered yesterday, and it reads that the Court of Appeal has confirmed the exit of public officers seeking elective seats, and the deadline is August 9th, which happens to be today, exactly 6 months to the general election. And following that, we have seen mass exits begin. So far, 3 cabinet secretaries, 5 CSs, and a host of other state officers have quit to seek elective seats. Remember, further details are still available on our website. Now, we have the quest, or rather the government has been pushing 4 agendas under the Big 4 agenda, and one of them happens to be health. So we have been seeing the president in Mombasa there, and the questions that most Kenyans are asking, so what is contained in the Universal Health Pack? Well, details are available in this particular daily. Those who wish can find out, but this is a move that is expected to bring, or rather lower, the cost of medical services in both public hospitals as well as the private. Remember, there's a deal that the government has entered into with private hospitals to ensure that each and every Kenyan can afford to seek medical services. As we bring this to a close, I'd want to draw your attention to a documentary that is airing and has taken the globe, not just Kenya by storm, but the globe by storm. I'm talking about the 2-hour documentary, The Tinder Swindler, that is currently airing on Netflix. so much has been said. And whenever you hear matters of, or rather when this documentary is mentioned in some circles, Kenyans on Twitter have come out and say that this would not have actually come to pass in the current situation, especially with Nairobi girls or women, so to speak. I don't know what you have to say in that, but whenever I hear about the Tinder Swindler docu, I remember that we are living at a time where mental health is very key, and narcissists have gone a notch higher to ensure that they continue taking advantage of vulnerables. So please, guard your space, guard your mental health. Remember, character development is very much real. I'm Regina Manyara. I live in the able hands of my colleagues in the team. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. Enjoy your viewing.